Third and goal. Garcia, play fake, bootleg to the right. Throws it in the end zone all alone. Terrell Owens, touchdown, San Francisco. And Owens draws more boos by standing in the middle of the blue star and looking heavenward and spreading.
If a guy celebrated like that on me, I'd wait for the next down, series of downs, and I'd do a little celebration of my own on him. And then after he woke up, if he did, I'd say, well, you want to dance some more?
Fans in Chicago know that Dick Butkus wasn't kidding when he was saying that.
Yeah, I tell you, I used to be afraid of Dick Butkus, and he was on my team.
That's a really good legal hit on that quarterback.
Thank you.
Alright guys, now we're getting into the weeds. Now we're going to get into Palms coverage. We've already covered quarters against 2x2, 3x1, and 3x0. Definitely check those out first before you get into Palms. That's why quarters mod against 2x2 sets is a great stepping stone to understanding all match coverages, okay? So here's the 2x2 set, and these are the assignments for quarters coverage, quarters match. You guys already know what everyone's supposed to do. We got the corner 1-2 mod on both sides. Both safeties are 2-1, and then obviously you have your quarter flat players who are match 2 out players. I like to call them flat 2-3s. And then you have your 3 receiver hook player here. He relates to the number 3. I like to just call it 3-2. Okay, and we also got to throw in that we do have run fit responsibilities with these players. So that's why I put a Q before all of their assignments, because at the snap of the ball, they're reading if it's a run. If it is a run, then they have run fit responsibilities. This is very important when we get into Palms coverage, because you guys are going to see it's important to know what a coverage does, but it's more important to know why a coverage does what it does. What is it trying to accomplish? A person who knows what something does is inferior to a person who knows why something does what it does. It's more important to kind of understand the intricacies of a coverage, and that's what we're going to do with Palms here. So Palms has a subtle difference to regular quarters. This is regular quarters coverage against 4 verts, okay? And this is cover 4 Palms against 4 verts. And as you know, both of them look exactly the same. They're matching 4 verts deep down the field. So where is it different? And let's go ahead and showcase something really quick. We're going to call regular cover 4 quarters, and I'm going to show you how teams can attack this particular coverage. Okay, so we're going to put our mindset into the quarter flat player here. All right, so what's our job as a quarter flat? Well, we have a run fit. We're fitting the alley if it's a run to our side. If it's not, then we are matching the number 2 out. Alarm bells should go off because they have their best receiver in the slot, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, we're reading the quarterback. Okay, it's definitely a pass. So now we're going to match number 2 out. Well, there's a problem here. He is running out, so we are matching the route, but notice how he has outside leverage here. Okay, so that's in rhythm, an easy throw. They can throw this literally almost every single time against this particular coverage. And the reason why is because if you notice, as a quarter flat player, we are playing with inside leverage. Okay, as you see here, you notice how we're playing with inside leverage there? Okay, and there's a reason for that. We're aligned a certain way to efficiently play our defense. So what if we align outside of the number 2 as opposed to inside while we're playing quarters coverage? Well, yeah, we can play the route a lot better, as you see here. But there are problems to this. Now the offense can just rip a quick throw inside because we are giving away the inside by aligning to the outside as a quarter flat player, okay? So an offense can come out in a play, notice that we are aligned as a quarter flat player outside of the number 2, originally have an out route call just like this, and then just see this alignment and check into a slant, right? Because the middle of the field is open with our pre-snap look, and you know, we're just giving away easy yards every single time, and we're just giving away the slant with our alignment alone. Here's another problem with aligning outside the number 2 as a quarter flat player. Okay, remember, we are responsible for a run gap, and now it's a run, and because we're outside leverage on the number 2 has a better angle to seal us off from the inside. the gap that we are responsible for, right? So, you know, alignment is everything. As you see, this is our run gap responsibility. We're supposed to fill that alley, but we can't keep our inside arm free. We can just easily get sealed off by the wide receiver due to our alignment alone. Now, if we align correctly inside leverage of the number 2 and we're playing regular quarters, we can efficiently play our run fit responsibility because it's harder for him to seal us off, right? So as you can see, we have our inside arm slightly free. He can rip inside and look to make a play on the ball carrier. So as we can see, there is no benefit to the quarter flat player aligning to the outside of the number 2. We just actually make the defense exponentially weaker, right? Because yeah, we take away the out pattern, but now we're just giving away the inside throw to the slant. There's just a plethora of problems that we create by doing that. Okay, and then it's even worse with the run fit because we can't properly fill our run fit and keep our inside arm free. We can just easily get sealed off by the number 2 on a block, okay? So that's why we got to play with inside leverage, but that comes with problems, right? We already saw how the number 2 can beat us on the out pattern every single time. And there's plenty of other things that they can do to exploit us, okay? Well, what can we do to counteract that? Well, in comes Palms coverage, okay? So we're going to take away the responsibilities of the safety, the corner, and the quarter flat defender, okay? Now, on this side, when you call Palms against a formation like this, they stay the same on this side, okay? And there's a reason for that. I'll get into that a little bit later. But on this side, we have some changes, okay? Now, the safety, remember in regular quarters, he was reading 2-1. Well, in Palms, he's reading 2-1 as well, but there's a subtle change to what he does, okay? The corner, remember, he was reading 1-2 mod, but now he's reading 2-1 as well. So both the corner and the safety are both reading the number 2, okay? The quarter flat defender is no longer a match 2 out defender, okay? So if the number 2 goes to the flat or goes out, he does not match it anymore, okay? I just like to call him just a quarter flat Palms defender. There's probably a better word. I'll probably put it up now, okay? But he does not match number 2 to the flat, okay? So what happens is if the number 2 goes vertical, okay, remember the corner and the safety are both reading him. If he goes vertical, well, then the safety knows that he takes him man-to-man, okay? And the corner who's reading the number 2 as well, when he sees him go vertical, because he knows that the safety takes him man-to-man, well, now the corner gets his eyes on 1 and he takes him man-to-man. That's why when I showed the original video where there was 4 verts on both sides, it looked like regular quarters coverage. I showed it against quarters, and then I showed it how it would look against Palms. It looks exactly the same because, as you can see, they would both turn man-to-man on both of these receivers if they both go vertical. Where it changes is when the number 2 goes out, okay? If 2 goes out, the corner who's reading 2-1 will then match number 2. He will jump the out. He will be very aggressive and overtake the number 2 to the flat, okay? The safety, who's also reading 2-1, when he sees 2 go out, he will know that the corner will take that route to the outside. So that leaves him to top the route of number 1 and man that route man-to-man, okay? So how does this help out the quarter flat? Well, the quarter flat, remember, he was responsible for taking number 2 to the flat. And that's why he was getting out leverage to the flat every time. Remember, he was inside leverage and there was just really nothing he could do. Well, now he doesn't have to take number 2 to the out, okay? Because if 2 goes out, the corner has him. So this is a trap. We've been calling quarters all game. They've been hitting us with this out from the number 2 all game. And now we call Palms. We're the corner. We're reading the number 2. If 2 goes out, we aggressively jump the route. 2 is going out, so I take him. Plant my foot, drive on it, go for the interception. Now, one of the problems with Madden is that he triggers too late, okay? So as you can see here, the corner takes the out. The quarter flat player no longer has to match 2 to the flat. So the safety who reads 2-1 as well, when he sees 2 go out, he knows that he has to top the route of number 1 because the corner is not taking him. And as you see here with that route combination, the safety plays over the top and does a good job knocking a deep ball away. Okay, so what does a quarter flat player do? Look at the quarter flat. he doesn't have to take him to the out because the corner takes him, so he just turns into the curl area and zones out. So if you think about it, it's almost like cover 2, right? If you think about how cover 2 would play that, almost the same. It's just that the corner should play a lot more aggressively on an out pattern by the number 2, okay? So this is definitely a trap-like coverage. Look at that. Look how we have an out by the number 2 and a deep in by the number 1. And the quarter flat player can play in the curl. He doesn't have to match 2 out because when 2 goes out, the corner takes him, okay? Now, this is the most eye-opening thing that I remember when I learned about palms coverage and quarters coverage, okay? We are back in quarters coverage. What is our responsibility as a quarter flat defender? Well, one, we're reading the quarterback to see if it's a run because we have a run fit, right? If it's not a run, then we match 2 out, okay? And then we have more responsibilities, etc. So we're going to read the snap of the ball, and we're going to go through our reads, and we got to know that if it's a pass, we got to match this player to the out, okay? So snap the ball, reading the quarterback. Is it a run? Looks like he's handed it off. Okay, that looks like it's definitely a run, right? So we're going to fill our gap. We're going to make a big play. And what do you know? He pulls the ball out. Where is he going? This is not good, right? And he's throwing it to the player that we are responsible for. Remember, we are responsible for 2 going out. So that's an RPO, okay? And that's something that they can run against quarters coverage every single time, right? And after a while, this quarter flat player will essentially figure out what's going on, that they're targeting you. Why are they able to target you? Because you are in conflict. You have to honor the run fit that you are responsible for, but you also are responsible for covering a player to the flat, the number 2. So what they do is they send this player out to the flat, and they have an option to run the ball, threatening your gap. So you have to make a decision. Are you going to defend the gap that you're responsible for? If you do, then we throw it to the player that you are responsible for in the passing game. If you flare out to defend the out, well, then we can hand it off because now you are out of your run fit responsibility. They are just targeting the conflict player, right? And that's a big problem with quarters. RPOs can shred quarters coverage. Now, I should say quarters coverage that are designed like that, right? Because there's obviously things and wrinkles you can put in to deal with RPOs, etc. Well, what can we do to deal with that? Well, in comes palms coverage, right? It's a trap. It looks like quarters coverage. It looks like we are in quarters coverage, but we're not. We're actually in palms coverage, okay? In palms coverage, we eliminate the conflict of the quarter flat player, okay? Because remember, in regular quarters, he takes the number 2 out, but he's also responsible for his run fit, okay? Well, in palms, if this player goes out, the quarter flat player does not have to take him out. Why is that? That's because the corner takes the out by the number 2, okay? So what does that do for our quarter flat? Well, now, if at the snap of the ball, the quarterback looks like he's going to hand it off, he doesn't have to second guess on whether it's a run or a pass to the flat, as we just showed a couple of times, right? He can be a lot more aggressive in his run fit. And if they decide to throw to the flat, that's where this corner can get a big play and potentially get a big hit or an interception because he's supposed to drive hard on that outbreaking route, okay? So isn't that something? Palms coverage is something we can utilize to stop RPOs. And Madden actually put it in their game. I think they put it in their game in Madden 19 or 18, whenever they started putting in match coverage. So obviously they would know why you would run palms. So look, we have palms called. We are the quarter flat. Uh-oh, it's an RPO, but we don't care, right? Number 2's going to the flat. Well, that's not my responsibility. Ball's in the air. My corner's going to drive on this, make an interception, make a big hit. We're good to go. Let's rewind back. Take a look at the corner. Okay, he's reading 2-1. Okay, I'm responsible for 2 going out. Snap the ball. Looking at 2. 2's going out. I'm going to drive on the ball. I'm going to make an interception. I'm going to make a big hit. No. No, it's not going to happen. You want to know why it's not going to happen? It's because it's Madden. This is how it should look. Okay, snap of the ball, drive on number 2 out, make a really big hit, not even a yard or so, right? But the reason why he did it that time is because I got the controller and I used my other hand just to show you how it should look. So yes, they have palms in the game, but it doesn't play the way it should against RPOs. I'll never forget when I was in the middle of a game, a guy in a trip set was running this RPO over and over and over again to the number 3 going out. And I was like, what do I do against this? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to run palms. In palms, my nickel should drive on the pattern by the number 3 going out. And he snapped the ball, he ran the play again, the ball was in the air, and I was excited because I'm like, I'm about to get a pick, man. It's the greatest trap ever, right? And it didn't work. So that's good to know. It's good to know that palms coverage theoretically should be really strong against RPOs like this. However, it does not work the way it should in Madden. They just do not have it coded right. But it's still good to understand the whys of palms coverage. Now, obviously, you can utilize it to trap them in the passing game. But in the run game, you know, we're supposed to allow our quarter flat to be a lot more aggressive in his run fit because he doesn't have to worry about matching 2 out, so we take him out of conflict. Okay, so that's that. Now, lastly, I'll go ahead and say, if you remember, on this side of the field, they do not play the 2 read concept, even though you called palms coverage. The reason why is because the safety would have theoretically a longer path to take to defend the number 1 if number 2 were to go out. Because remember, if number 2 goes out and we're playing 2 read, then the corner would drive on that route and it would force the safety to have to top the number 1 and play man-to-man. Well, they only have it in the game if number 2 is detached from the core. So if number 2 is in line with the core, like the tight end here, and you call palms, just know that they'll play regular quarters coverage on this side because we don't want it to where they run an out with the number 2 and they run a fade with the number 1 and the safety can't get over the top of it because it's a long path for him to take. So I hope you got some understanding on this. Palms coverage is easily one of my favorite coverages to run because I love the way I can play games with it. And I hope you keep coming back for more stuff, man. Peace.